Good morning and welcome back to Coffee with Toffees on today, September 10th. My name's Toffees, as always, bringing you the action and the best in Dota 2 news. You can find me on Twitter at Toffees_Dota2. The podcast is up always about 20 minutes to 30 minutes after the show. We're also over on YouTube as well if you want to watch the replay of the live. And of course, if you want to support the show and keep it grassroots and advertising free, you can head over to Patreon, patreon.com/Toffees, and kick in $1 or whatever you feel you want to and help us keep the advertising out so that we can keep the show going. That said, plugs over. Let's talk about our guest today. I am joined here by our special guest, MSS. How are you doing this morning, sir?
Hello, I'm very tired.
Understand completely.
I'm not used to waking up this early.
Well, you're a college student now, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I don't think I ever woke up before 9 as a college student, so I understand completely and appreciate you waking up to be here. For those of you guys who don't know MSS, a little more about him, and I'm going to try your name. Once again, I'll probably butcher it like I did Shivar's yesterday. Arif Anwar, is that close?
Dude, you pronounced my first name correct. That's good enough.
All right, so Arif is here to join us for the day. He goes by Mojo Storm Stout, or MSS, and he played with Fnatic, EG, Team Dog / Mouse Sports, went to the last TI. Pretty big name for an up-and-coming North American player who just sort of disappeared from the scene with a tweet at the end of TI, and we'll talk a little more about that as we move through the show, because I really want to get into a little bit about how MSS likes to, you kind of like these last-minute announcements and these sort of like no fanfare goodbyes type of thing, and I want to talk about that because I like it. But first, it's a news show, so we got to do news. Dota 2 news. First and foremost, I want to do a follow-up report on the Wagamama situation from a couple of days ago. He had gotten into the fight with Vlad, and a bunch of things were said, and he was ultimately shadow banned from Reddit. The shadow ban was lifted as of, let's see, Tuesday afternoon. So Waga is back in play today, so expect to see him around. Other news that I thought was really interesting, and this is something that my producer Snuggies found for us. I made sure that he got up, and that is that afternoon. So Waga is back. Sorry, I had a little sound issue there. EG beat UG in Starladder yesterday, with Zai as a carry Meepo and Fear as a support Rasta. Now, we've seen EG play a lot lately, and it's obviously always been Fear as a carry and Zai as a support, so they switched it up on us. Now, I reported about a week ago that there was a potential switch in the works, that Zai was tired of being support all the time, and that Fear might go into a support role to let Zai do some carrying. This may have been the first time we saw it. It worked well. Now, it was against UG, who hasn't been playing the best of late. However, I wanted to ask what you thought about this, MSS. What do you think about players changing roles on a pro team? Do you think this was sort of a, hey, we've got a team that we can probably beat, let's just have some fun with it? Or do you think it's the possibility of they're trying to keep it fresh for everyone?
Well, I did hear that Zai really wanted to play a core role, but in general, I think, when it comes to cores, like switching between offlane, middle, carry, I think that's like, that should be standard by now. That's like, everyone does it.
Right.
Depends on what heroes you play. But switching between carry and support, that's like the first time I've ever seen that.
Right, it's like a different language almost, right?
It really is. I tried playing support once, yeah, that didn't go well. Yeah, like, I guess it works for them because Fear and Zai both can play both supports. I mean, both roles. And I guess they're gonna do that, like, when it comes to certain heroes, like, I guess for Panda and Evo, apparently.
Okay.
They're just gonna have Zai play it.
So, and I mean, that may come from Zai is very good at the micro. And it sort of makes sense in that capacity. The question is, do you think that we'll ever see that switch off when it comes to a more standard carry? Or do you think it'll just be for those sort of heavy micros and Fear will say, yeah, I'll support because I'm Fear and I've played everything since I've been here since the beginning of time?
Oh, maybe. We'll see that. Because if you've noticed, like, whenever they switched roles, the support was Shadow Shaman, right?
Right, yep.
So maybe he's just a Rasta player.
It could just be a Ross player. That's so interesting. Something to keep an eye on. We know it's been in the works. We know Zai wants to do some core stuff. So maybe this is the solution. And honestly, if you've got a team like EG who's firing on all cylinders, it's a tough one because A, I don't want to change anything when I'm performing really well, but B, I want to keep the people on the team happy. Because if you start to kind of lose that synergy or get frustrated players, you go down the road of some teams that were ex-TI winners, and we won't name them, but started to have synergy problems and just really couldn't get themselves into updated patches. So I'm curious to see where this goes. I guess from what you said, maybe not a bad thing, but something where that support core switch could be a lot of trouble, so I'm curious to see how they end up.
Yeah, sometimes it can be really refreshing. Switch roles.
That's true. That's true. I know after TI, Sneaky Nick's Assassins played for almost, I think it was almost 2 or 3 weeks, where nobody played their official roles. All of the games, all the tournaments they played, everyone did something else, just to kind of keep it fresh. And I don't know how that's been working for them based on their play lately, which has been really frustrating for me to see, but we can talk about that a little bit later, as they're my pick of the day. Next piece of news. Mineski, the SEA gaming organization, has announced the new G1 Gaming League. They're putting $10.5 thousand US into, well, I guess they're, that's the cost translation, into a tournament to, as they said, promote esports in the SEA, primarily the Malaysian area. So that is up. You can see the news release on Join Dota. It looks like it's going to be a Malaysia-specific tournament at this point. However, for $10.5 thousand, I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of big Western or European teams invited to the tournament, maybe for some championship play to get a little more attention. It's hard. I think it's hard. SEA struggles to get a lot of attention from other regions in their direction for SEA-specific tournaments. So hopefully this is something they can do to promote that, because SEA gaming has been pretty good lately. I mean, they're growing. They had some trouble last year, but they play aggressive. They play a frenetic style, and I like to watch them. So I'd like to see the league grow a little more in that area. Do you ever get a chance to watch SEA very much?
Not really. There's barely any C teams, right?
Yep.
It's like C is like exactly like the NA scene, right?
It's
like
very much
there's
so.
only one good team, and then like the rest are just like tier 2s or tier 3s.
Yep, and that's pretty much it. There's if you watch this SEA qualifiers, there was a couple of teams that sort of just dominated, and then everybody else sort of just was excited to be there. So you're exactly right, but they're growing the same way that the North American scene has grown leaps and bounds in the last year and a half. So hopefully they join the fray soon. Next on information, Canada Cup playoffs have started this week. 16 teams are fighting for $4,000 in prize money. Now, what I thought was interesting is the Canada Cup has been around for a couple of years now. Last year, it was an amateur tournament. There was a couple of teams like C&B that had a decent name that were in the tournament. This year, some much bigger names, which is a little bit strange considering it's a $4,000 prize. I mean, that's a big prize. I guess it's funny that I say it's strange, right? Because $4,000 2 years ago, we would have been like, yes, I'm in that tournament. Now we're like, whatever, $4,000. That's not worth my time.
People are just used to the 200,000 plus prize pools now.
It's insane how big the prize pools have gotten. But for $4,000, the lineups are on the YouTube if you guys want to check it out. But it's the bigger names that are worth mentioning, the tier 2 teams, and on their way to tier 1. Some of them, I think, Sneaky Nick's Assassin, Complexity, Not Today, which is the reboot of Revenge, if I remember correctly, C&B, Union, South American Rejects, Root, No Earth Spirit, Navi US is in there, as is Shadows of the Past, and Thundercats, who had a massive upset on Navi US yesterday, which was pretty cool to see. As I've seen Thundercats in the NA kind of like underground scene for a while, but have never really broken into the mainstream. So that was a good play out for them to actually get that win. So decent sized rosters. Any of those teams that I listed MSS that you've thought to yourself, man, I'll bet they could be a tier 1 team if with a little more practice?
I think I just automatically go to Sna.
Yeah, I think that's most of our picks. And Sna was very strong there for a minute in the TI qualifiers. I thought that they were going to be up in the top 3 and did really, really well. I'm curious to see how this year goes for them with the roster changes. So a great point. Frag Masters, guys. This is a LAN tournament that has traditionally had Dota 2 in it. they officially announced that they will not be having Dota 2 in the Frag Masters this year. Their founder went on and basically said, listen, there's too many tournaments going on. We just don't want to compete with them. It's not worth our time. So Dota 2 out of Frag Masters. Frag Masters, I'm sorry, which is kind of a little bit of a bummer. I hate seeing any big tournament drop Dota 2, but I guess it's a good thing in the sense of it means there's so many other tournaments with such big prize pools that a group like Frag feels they can't even compete with them anymore. All right, what else? Oh, so here's another one. This popped up on, this is funny because I had got, MSS agreed to do the show, and then we talked a little bit about the fact that he was taking a team to ESL 1 qualifiers. Me and my producer actually looked for the lineup for your team, MSS, and could not find it. And then all of a sudden, I woke up this morning and it's sitting on Reddit. So I was like, well, that's convenient for me. So we found what we think is going to be the Gurk Squad lineup, and you can tell me if you're allowed to say so or if this is official yet. I think it is. It's going to be Pandago, B-Diz, Bleak, MSS, and Demon. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is the worst team ever.
That is the worst team ever. Now, you had Dark Falco with you when you went through qualifiers, if I remember correctly, and you replaced him with Demon. Is that the case?
Well, we just used him for... We also played in WePlay. And...
Got it.
Oh, wait. Is he listed on the roster for Join Dota?
He is not listed.
Oh, okay. Never mind that. Yeah, but we used him for replay, so that might be why people are confused.
That could be it. So the official roster is what I just read off to you. Looks like you brought Jimmy Ho back from his deep diving experiences over in Hawaii with his fun Red Bull ripped. That was a ridiculous. Did you see that little thing that he did with them? The underwater diving thing?
Of course, dude.
It was like,
I see his pictures every day.
It's like, it was the most ridiculous conglomeration of attractive people I've ever seen in my life. It was like...
You remember that picture with, like, his friends and then you just have Fear?
Yeah.
Like, everyone has, like, abs and tan.
Right?
And then it goes to Fear. He's, like, the one out.
Right.
It just looks so funny to me.
Oh, man. No, I mean, that's Jimmy Ho, right? He's famous for... loving the gym more than anything else, and we won't go into that, but hey, I thought it was hilarious when I watched the video and I was like, is this an infomercial for like a workout program? This is insane. Which is a bunch of people in their bathing suits. So go Red Bull, and hey, go Jimmy, alright? If you can get it, do it. Other one I want to talk about is I'm really excited about Pandago playing with you guys. I think Jared is a player who is really strong and has just, how do I say, gotten some teams that didn't really fit together very well. So I like to see him playing with you guys. Is he going to be playing in a 5 role for you?
Yeah, it's Pandago and Vita support. And
okay.
We 3-core switch are on.
Awesome. So that's going to be exciting. Obviously, I think he plays some pretty solid heroes, some great dazzles, etc. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you pull out at ESL. So if you guys, for what it's worth, I don't know if you've looked, but Gozu has you ranked as number 24 in America and number 170 in the world. So congratulations on being in the top 170.
Do we even have a rating?
Yeah, it's on there. Your rating's 1,000. I guess it's because you haven't played anything.
We have zero, yeah.
It's just funny that you're 170 without playing a game. So I mean, that's not bad. It's better than me. So that's the new team, guys. It's legitimate. You can go see the lineup on Gozu. Do you guys know? Do you know when your first game is going to be?
I think it should be this Sunday.
Okay.
The 14th.
So look for it on the 14th. The triumphant theoretical return of MSS for a short time engagement. And now I assume that the reason you're doing this, we talked a little bit about this, is, and we're going to this will transition us into the interview segment of the show, guys. MSS announced at the end of TI with a tweet. He said, he said, gonna take a year off, basically, and focus on school. So, and that was it. You basically gave us this tiny little tweet, 130 characters, that said, I'm done with pro gaming for the time being. So you're in school now, and do you mind if I ask what you're studying?
Comp Sci.
Okay, so you're studying Comp Sci, and you are in New York, and all of a sudden they say, hey, massive tournament coming to New York. How can you resist that, right?
Seriously.
So if there's going to be a massive, I think it's $100,000 for the prize pool to start out, 6 blocks from your house, you got to play. So taking a bit of a break to come out and do this thing, Do you see yourself returning at the end of the year, I guess is my question. Do you see yourself coming back to Pro Dota? If you win this tournament, would you see yourself giving up school and going into full-time playing with this team? Like, what do you think your plans are as you go forward?
I don't see myself like just dropping school in the middle of the year, but I don't know. Our plan was to just qualify for this tournament. Like, this is just like a one-time thing.
Fair enough.
If we don't qualify, we'll just like, you know, disband.
Right.
Just whatever. This was like meant to be some casual stuff.
Okay.
But I don't know. Like, regarding Pro Dota, I might do something at the end of the year. You know, like pull a Navi US, make a team like 2 weeks before qualifiers, and just like play it.
Play the hype train, maybe get invited.
Not invited, but there's no way that's happening.
So
definitely like try to play the qualifiers for TI.
Definitely. Now, have you been approached by any pro teams since announcing your break? Are there teams that are trying to convince you to come back out of retirement, or has everybody been pretty respectful of your decision?
I mean, yeah, there's like 2 teams that went up to me, but I was like, dude, not this year.
I know exactly.
I tried to resist so hard. Like, even though I really wanted to.
It's tough, right? When a big team... I mean, I know that EG approached me and asked me to fill in for them last week, and I had to resist it. And I'm kidding. But it's tough when a big team comes to you and says that. So kudos on your strength, trying to get that college deal in, and that's pretty nice. Now, you played with Fnatic North America, which I think was kind of a starting for you, but a lot of folks said, you know, the team wasn't really synergizing. You joined EG, and now this is a story that everyone talked about for a long time, right? Your parents said no, you said yes, you ran away from home and said, I'm pretty much going to do what I want, and that's just the way it is. Now, let me ask you, and I'm not going to ask you to get into the whole story about running away from home, etc., but what I do want to know is, would you do it all over again in the same situation?
Real talk, probably. Probably, yeah.
There you go. I mean, that's what you want to know, right? If you can look back at those moments and say, yeah, you know what, I'd do it again, then you gotta say, why not? So, as a perspective, as a 31-year-old in the sport, I can tell you that I appreciate your willingness to go ahead and say that.
I mean,
so you went from EG, okay, the EG situation. You moved on to Team Dog, which you guys then got picked up by Mouse Sports, which it took forever to announce, by the way, that Mouse Sports was going to be the sponsor. And then you get to go to TI. Couple of questions about that. First and foremost, I want to know, what was it like to play on a European team? Was there language or cultural barriers you had to get past? How was the training time frames? You know, we all saw in Free-to-Play that Fear talked about how difficult it was to train with a European team. Did you run into the same barriers? What was your experience like?
It wasn't that difficult playing with these guys because they all speak like decent English or good English. At first, you know, when Fon and Pos joined, I did have some trouble like understanding them because their accents.
Right.
Yeah, but other than that, it was like not much. It wasn't different than like playing with a NA team.
Okay. Now we get a lot of chaff, us here in America, for being how do you want to describe, cocky, maybe a little bit out there, doing kind of what we want to do. Did you run into cultural conflicts with the guys on the team a little bit because of that sort of difference in cultural background, or is it Dota builds bridges sort of deal?
Dota builds bridges.
Okay.
Like, we just like got along well pretty quick.
That's awesome. So that's good to hear. Unfortunately, you probably won't get a free-to-play documentary out of it. You should have told me that it was a terrible experience that you had to fight through. And,
it kind of was, but you know, you have to simplify it.
Right. Fair enough. So you did that. You went to TI. I didn't get to go to TI4. I didn't get tickets. It was so fast. It sold out so quickly. And I'm not famous. So what was being a player at TI4 like? This is the biggest esports event in history. Just give me a little bit, like, a short insight into, like, what was it like to be in the middle of that vortex of crazy?
I can just say one thing right now. Like, Valve knows how to make a gamer feel like a king.
Really?
They really treat you so good. Like, the hotels, they like put you into, they're really good, and like, you know how they give out like free lunch, breakfast, dinner, and
yeah,
and like everywhere you go, there's gonna be like free snacks and drinks like at every corner. Like I just felt so fucking good there. Like
Nice.
of course they had the practice area too, where we can just like chill and play, and they have the like ping pong tables and whatnot.
Nice.
I don't know. I just felt so good, and you know, when I went back home, I felt like shit. Like I felt so poor
Right.
compared to TI.
Living as a king. No, it was interesting. That makes sense. I heard about the players' lounge area and how nice it was, and how they had like staff on segways policing it to keep out the plebes and the rest of us. So I think it was it a Rolling Stone or an Esquire magazine wrote about the reporter trying to get into the area, and it just made me laugh. So that's pretty interesting. Good to know. Now a couple other questions that I have for you. You play Offlane, or you've played a lot of Offlane. I was curious, who do you kind of idolize in the game or in the core role, and do you study them, or is there a person that you've studied to get better at the game, or how do you go about your process?
Let me just start off by saying that I actually like did not want to play the Offlane role at all.
Okay.
Like, and I actually hated it for like half the time.
Really?
Yeah, because like when Pycat and Misery was like, we want to bring in Fad and Paz, I was like, oh no, don't do this to me. Because like, I would have to move from mid to Offlane.
Right.
Like for a really long time, I was trying to convince Pycat to not like let them in, because I really wanted to play middle.
Right.
I just like, you know, Offlane is new, and I would probably suck at that. And when we did like start practicing together, I was a super feeder. Like holy shit, I had no idea what I was doing. But I guess eventually, like, it worked out because, you know, our team would always go aggressive.
Right.
So I would be in a solo lane.
Right.
Versus, like, another solo person. So I was like, I wasn't even playing Offlane.
Yeah, so you're sort of like a mid in a safe lane.
Yeah,
almost.
yeah. But, yeah, eventually I would actually have to play, like, an actual Offlane against a trial lane. And I was like, you know, I guess that role fits me. It's like, it's YOLO.
Right.
It's YOLO, and I'm fucking YOLO.
Well, and that's... there's a mentality similarity, right, between the two roles in a lot of ways, is that kind of aggressive, I can handle things myself mentality. So I can see why it fits. That said, are you going back to mid going forward?
I mean, that is, like, my favorite role.
Fair enough.
In this team, I'm probably going to be playing it, like, mainly.
So you'll be playing mid. Now, if somebody were to show up and offer you $120,000 a year to play Offlane,
oh, man,
you wouldn't spin on them. So good to know. You've been playing for a long time. So let me ask you, in the time that you've played, is there a player that you've sort of looked up to or studied or said, that is the kind of player that I want to be?
When I was first starting off, like, when I was like standing in for Liquid, I looked up to Boba.
Okay.
You know, I like at TI1 or TI2, I forgot which one. I would just like be watching his tinker and stuff.
Yeah.
I'd be like, damn, I want to be like him. Then, then eventually it became like, I got on EG and like it was Universe where I started to like.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I still like him. He's like my favorite player on EG.
Okay.
That guy's a beast.
Plus his Twitter pictures are hilarious.
Oh yeah, it really is. Holy shit, that latest one?
Yeah, that was a good one. The fear in the mirror, that was pretty good.
Yeah, holy shit, that was so good.
So let me ask you this. If you looked up to Boba once upon a time, did you have a moment of, this is awesome, when in TI4 you went past Bulba's team as far as progression's concerned? Or did it never really cross your mind?
It really didn't cross my mind.
Okay. Well, you know, you got farther than your hero, so that's something. When you started out. That said, let's keep moving forward. I'm curious about this one. So, Gozu right now has EG ranked as #1 after they won the WEC. So Gozu's saying that EG is the best team in the world, and we know Gozu's rankings are, you know, kind of arbitrary in a lot of ways. But do you agree, or is there any other team that you think is good or better than EG right now?
I think Gosu Gamer is right for once. EG is actually like so goddamn good right now.
It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't care what people say about PPD, but I think that guy's like so fucking good when it comes to drafting. Like he's actually like insane.
You can see it in his eyes. He's smart, very smart. Yeah, no, he's phenomenal at drafting. He plays a great captain's role in a lot of ways. So EG has been a total powerhouse. Let me ask you this, then, as a spinoff, do you think Cloud9 will win a first-place finish this year, or will they be stuck to seconds for the entire year again? It's tough, right?
Yeah, it really is.
They're a great team, but they just can't seem to get out of that sort of bridesmaid funk, unfortunately. All right.
Maybe they can with the addition of Fada.
That's true. That's a great move there. All right, so let's get into some things that people are throwing out there. Someone has asked in the chat, what do you think will change the meta we're in right now? We're in one of the most stagnant metas we've seen in a long time, and it's been going for a while. What do you think will change it? What does Valve need to do with the buffs to kind of make us stop first picking banning Lycan?
Lycan, that hero is just too goddamn broken.
Stupid.
Like, I don't know how he's gonna fix him, because, like, what are you gonna change about him? He needs his wolves.
Right.
His wolves are the most broken, annoying shits in the world. Like, maybe they have to remove the permanent invis.
Yeah. Or at least increase the fade time.
Yeah, I guess, but it's like it's too powerful because its scouting abilities is like overpowered. Like, it's legit broken. And a Lycan on Dire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck with that. It's just way too strong. And his pushing power, it's in this meta, it's just way too good.
So do you think that just like removing Lycan or breaking him would change the entire meta, because it would change the ability for us to kind of manage the ban and the draft picks? Because at the moment, Radiant essentially is guaranteed to lose a ban right out of the gate because they've got to get rid of Lycan. And I mean, that's pretty massive when you're sitting there putting together a drafting strategy. So
it's pretty dumb. How do you have to waste the ban on him?
So this may be the same answer, but let me ask you this. If you could change one thing about Dota 2, what would it be?
Dota 2? I guess, like, maybe reduce tower gold? Or increased armor?
I like that. So it kind of takes away that death ball sort of aspect of what we're seeing right now?
Yeah, this death ball metagame is actually the thing I hate the most.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's an interesting thing, right? Because if your death ball fails in the first 20 minutes, you're pretty much screwed. But if it works, yeah, it's the most annoying thing to deal with ever. So, yeah, that's not a bad idea. Reduce tower gold, increase tower armor, make the death ball a little bit harder, and maybe even penalize those push heroes or those split pushers like Lycan just a little bit in that process. All right, here's a good one, and we're running low on time, so I'm going to get into this one because it's going to be I'm curious to see how you feel about this one. UG, Union Gaming, has been getting a lot of heat lately, right? They're getting all kinds of stuff. So, for instance, let's talk about the one that just happened yesterday. UG random the last pick Kunkka in a Starladder game against Dream Destroyers. They've got one player DC right afterward. UG asks for a remake. Dream Destroyers said no. Admins say, you know what, let's just remake it, and then UG starts the game with a new player who's in the Kunkka position now. So, have you ever seen anything like that in a pro game? Do you think that UG deserves the heat that they're getting, or are they just sort of like a sacrificial lamb for the desire for tournament oversight?
Dude, they fucking deserve that shit. That's the most shady thing I've ever, like, heard. Like, how do you just do that shit? I don't know. Yeah, they still deserve to get flamed.
I mean, and you lump onto that the allegations of things like stream sniping and etc. that's going on, and that's kind of a lot. The question is, so maybe we feel UG deserves to have some oversight or something like that, if it's actually true, or somebody at least to look into it. Do you feel that tournament oversight is something that we as a community need to start to pursue in the terms of not only policing rules, but setting up a system of rules, tournaments putting escrow accounts together before the tournament's allowed to start to guarantee payouts, and basic oversight, things like that? Or do you think that the community should exist the way it does, where we just sort of take care of ourselves?
I think tournament needs to, like, really get, like, better admins or something, because I remember, like, last year when I was, like, that brief moment when I was playing with eHug, I was playing in a tournament, like, it was a joint Dota tournament or something, versus a Peruvian team, and we got, like, bamboozled into playing on Brazil server, and I was just, like, I was losing my shit, because
Right.
like that shouldn't happen. And I don't know, it was like a whole mess of things. And like then I see the admin, and he's fucking Brazilian, so that got me even more angry. I was like, there's got to be some bias here.
Yeah, that seems like that'd be pretty frustrating. So I hate to say that it's regional issues, and maybe something like some tournament oversight could fix a lot of this, or just tournaments focusing on getting admins in the door who are a little more serious about what they're doing. Not to say the admins are bad, and honestly, most of them work for free, and it's not an easy life, right? They're the if you've ever been in a major tournament, guys, or worked for one, you know that the admins are some of the hardest working guys who have the least amount of love from everyone there. They walk in and the players are mad about the lobbies and they're arguing constantly. It's not an easy life, so I'll give the admins that. The question is, when you're tired and frustrated, who do they ask questions to? When that sub came in, who did the Star Ladder admins have available to go to say, hey, can we allow this, or do we have to make this a forfeit? And that's something that definitely I think needs to be talked about. But moving away from that crazy stuff, let me pose a quick question, because it's coming through on the chat. People want to know, do you think that there will be changes in the next meta to Faceless Void and Skywrath, or do you think that they'll be left alone for the most part?
Skywrath, I think, needs to get a nerf.
Absolutely. What do you think it is about Skywrath that's just too strong?
His damage output when he gets his ult, and his ability to just like, his movement speed is actually so good.
Yeah.
He can just like roam around and just like not give a fuck. Also, like you're not catching that guy. Like,
Right.
You're not catching that guy because of his slow and shit.
Yeah, that slow is incredible. Incredible. So great engagement, great initiator. Yeah, I think that he's going to be the one to get some nerf bombs dropped on him. So that's about it for the interview segment. A couple more things I want to chat about, guys. Picks of the day. So games to watch, as we've got some games coming up throughout the afternoon. There's a lot of games going on, a ton of Star Ladder, a ton of EMC, and are there any games that you've looked at? Have you had a chance to look at the game lists at all today, MSS, and picked a game that you think is going to be worth watching?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I think it's Navi Fnatic and Sna and Navi US.
Yeah, I think my pick for the day is definitely Sna Navi US. I think that's going to be a great game. And also, if you go to Dota 2 Lounge and you take a look at the bet numbers for that game, right now it's Navi US 63, Sna 37. And I know that Sna's been off their game lately, and Navi has been playing a copious amount of matches, but that seems a little bit lopsided. So if you want a potential value upset bet, that would be my game for it. I think Sna could definitely come in and take it to Navi. That said, the Sna lineup has changed a lot over the last year. Most noticeably, the disappearance of Whitebeard, who played probably some of the best support I saw in TI qualifiers, and Sna, the original namesake of the team, who also plays a incredibly strong support, left the team to kind of create a Liquid 6.0 sort of lineup.
It really is Liquid now.
What do you think of the changes? I mean, Whitebeard, I understood. I think that Whitebeard had some other things he wanted to pursue, so he chose to go. And I guess they said Sna was the same way. But have you put some time to think about Sna now versus Sna then? Is it a better lineup for them, or do you think they're going to run into the same situation as Liquid did?
It's actually so weird. Like, it feels like they're doing worse now. Like, even though they have like quote unquote much better players, you know, or more experienced players. But I don't know. I have a feeling like the old Nyx assassins with like Sna and Ush and whatnot would have done better right now. Yeah,
I mean, old Sna went up against North American rejects, right, Navi US, and had a pretty good win rate against them. Not the best. Actually, no, I rephrase that. In the qualifiers, Sna could not beat Liquid, but they beat North American rejects almost every time. So they were really good against Narvi. The question is, will they continue that trend today? So I think today will be a good way to see how the change in roster is affecting the evolution. Because if you came to me in TI qualifiers and said, Toffees, pick the next Tier 1 team to come out of North America, who I think could get out of the qualifiers, I would have said SNA, and now I don't know. So we'll have to check it out and see. So those are my picks for the day. You got your Dota 2 Lounge winning idea or possible pick, and that's what our show is this afternoon, guys. If you like the show, if you want to support us and keep us advertising free, I'm going to plug Patreon again, patreon.com/Toffees. You can kick in $1 or you can buy something cool like mugs or other things to help support the show. Also, my Twitter, Toffees_Dota2. We tweet every time the show comes out. We contact our guests and let you know who's going to be on the show every day through that. So make sure you follow. MSS, I appreciate you being here today, taking some time out of your busy school schedule. Do you have any final thoughts before we head out?
No, not right now. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. So that said, guys, you heard it from MSS. Not right now, but he's just like he's not coming back to Pro Dota. Not right now, but he's been in WePlay and he's been in ESL, so we'll see what happens next year. But we appreciate him being here. We appreciate you guys being here. Stick around. We're going to cut the stream and come back with some music for you. It's been a great day. I hope you have one too. And as always, Toffees out.